Hi, my name is Julie Dorley and I am a presenter with Unique. I just wanted to give a quick little discussion about brows and how to up your brow game. So it's kind of funny because over the past, I don't know, several years, brows have become all the rage and people just really weren't doing anything about brows, and now it's a thing to have your brows done and make sure that you're taking care of your brows. I honestly never once cared about my brows until they started to get a little patchy. And so as I've gotten older, my brows have they've thinned out. Like there's not hair all the way through, so there's a couple of bald spots. As my gray has been coming in, I have some hairs that you just can't see them anymore. And so taking care of my brows has been something that has been a new thing for me, and I was super intimidated by it, and I am just here to do a little tutorial so that if you're intimidated by it, maybe we can take some of that mystery out of the whole thing. And it's really easy. Alrighty, so first things first, you have to make sure that you have the appropriate tools. And and honestly, not all tools are created equal. So I recommend making sure that you have what is called a spoolie brush or a lash brush. So this is a lash brush. I think that's what, I guess it's called a lash comb slash brow brush because this side has a little comb on it. And so this is really great for making sure that you brush your brows into place. And then a spoolie brush just has that little end on it, and that is great too. And that's the first thing that you need to worry about with your brows, because you just need to make sure that all your hairs are going in the right direction, because sometimes I don't know, if you're like me, your hairs might look like a chia pet. And so so you just need to do a little bit of grooming. And if you haven't been taking care of doing anything with your brows, you might actually find out that they're super dry underneath, because we don't typically exfoliate within our brows. And so sometimes taking one of those brushes and just sort of rubbing around will help bring up some dead skin that's hanging out there so that you get a nice clean finish. So that's the first thing that I recommend. Second thing is that if you're not getting your brows done, which you totally don't have to, you can do it yourself. I do my own. Some people like to go for threading, where they take thread and that's how they remove the excess hair to clean it up. Some people don't need to remove it. Even though I've got patchy spots and bald spots, there's parts that just grow crazy, right here. I don't need extra hairs here if I can't grow them there. So I take care of the ones that I don't need. And there's a couple of ways I do it. A good pair of tweezers is fine. Make sure you have a mirror that you can see well in. I actually have a magnifying one because I wear glasses and I can't see my brows really well without my glasses. So, and it's really hard to take care of your brows if you can't see them. So, or there is this tool. I gained nothing by this recommendation, but it's called Flawless Brows, and it's actually a little razor that you could just go, and it helps clean things up. It doesn't work nearly as well as they say it's going to, but it is good. It also, I use it for touch up on my lip and other parts that have hairs that just grow randomly. So there you go. So that is for the initial cleanup. Now the actual doing of your brows, for Unique, I have two different products that I recommend and that I use, and it just kind of depends on how much time and how much effort I feel like going through. So the first is that we have our regular brow pencil, and it's a 7mm pencil. These it comes in 3 shades. There's a blonde, a brunette, and a dark brunette. And unless you, like for me, actually, I'm kind of a darker blonde and the blonde is too light. So I use the brunette on my brows, and it's great because it actually has that little spoolie brush built in. There we go. So, that takes care of that tool that we were talking about immediately. And so it has that, and then on the other end, it has a little 7mm tip on it. And so it's got sorry, it's kind of hard to get the focus on that, but it has a really fine tip, and you can use that to do your brows. So if you're using something like this, it's just really important to do short brush strokes within your brows and just sort of like filling in behind them. And that is what's going to help create that like finishing up of that look. Now, this is super fast, super easy. Obviously, you don't need any extra tools because it's all built in one. But this might not give you everything that you want. So if you want and even like to do your brows even more, or you've used brow pencils and brow pencils don't cut it, then you can use a brow palette. So the brow palette that we have is kind of a step-by-step, and you can tell that mine has been well loved. I've used it a lot. So these are 2 pressed powder shadows that are used on your brows. This is a wax that helps seal it all in place, and these are 2 different highlighters that you can use to help create a little highlight above and below the brow line. And I use them less often. It's kind of if I'm just doing a lot more glamour type thing. So let's do one of these brows and be able to see the difference. So I'm going to use these top 2, and then I'm going to use a little bit of that wax. Now, the brush that I like to do, and this is where I say not all brushes are created equal, we have what's called a brow artist brush, and it has an angled side on one end and then a flat side on the other. I like to use this for the powder part, and then I like this part for the wax. So, and it's amazing because I had a brush that looked just like this, but it didn't work nearly as well. So sometimes if you're not getting the results that you're looking for, it might just be that you need a better brush. Like the product might be fine. So there's a lot of things that can go into this. And, sometimes we just think, oh, well, I'm an idiot, I can't do it. And it's just that you're not working with the appropriate tools or tools that, work really well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to tap into this with this angled side. I'm going to tap in, and we're just going to work on my right brow here, which is my patchier of the 2. And I'm going to come a little closer. I don't know if you could see, but there's kind of a bit of a hole here, and we're going to fill that in. And we're just going to go with the hairs, with the brow hairs themselves, and just do light little touches. Now, when you're trying to figure out how to shape your brows, it's a few things. Your brows are never going to look like twins. This one is never going to look like that one. That's just fact of life. Like, don't expect even looking like they're in the same, like sisters. If you could get cousins, that's good enough, because, we are not symmetrical people. Like, this side of your face is not exactly the same as this side of your face, and if it was, you would look totally bizarre. There's actually an article about that in Time magazine, I don't know, probably like 12 years ago, that was pretty cool. So don't worry about your brows not being identical. Like, it is not a test of what your skills are. Like, it's just not how our faces are designed. So, but when you're trying to figure out how far over do you need to go, here's the guideline. your brows should not go any further if you take a pencil and you line it up so that you go from the edge of your nose to the edge of your eye. Your brows should not exceed that length. So I can go a little bit longer, as you can see, like my brows are kind of short. So I could extend that. I don't really have any hair to work with, so that would be when I would definitely want to use a pencil, because I'm going to be drawing that in if I want to do that extension. But it's like not necessary. But the thing is you want to know that your brows should not go past that. So if my brows are out to here, they're too long. Like it's messing with the like framing of your face. And that's the whole purpose of doing your brows, really, is like, and you can just see, like if you look at this eye versus this eye, you can already see how much it's like framed the look of my face and drawn your attention to my eye. Like it kind of just puts a frame around the area you want the focus, and you want the focus to be on my eyes, not on actually on the brows themselves. So we're gonna finish filling this in a little bit, and like I said, you know, I can't extend it out, but I don't have really any hairs to work with down there, so using a pressed powder is a little bit harder for that. All right, and then I want to come back in with this darker color here. And the darker color, still just tapping in. I like to blow off a little bit of the excess. And you're just going to do sort of like at the bottom part of the brow. You don't want to go too heavy at the front part on this end, like on this side, because it doesn't look natural. So just sort of here and then a little brush up, and then on the underside of this brow, and just creating some dimension there. And I have a hole that's right here that I'm trying to get filled. All right. Now, then I go through and I take the other end of my brow artist brush, which is the flat side, and I tap that into the wax over here. And then I'm just going to go, and this is what's going to keep your brows in place. Not that they're going to run away, but because it is pressed powder, you know, if you get sweaty, you get rained on, whatever, they can, you know, not last all day long. And the wax helps to put that in place. It's really, really fine. If you feel that you've gone on a little too thick, I recommend taking a spoolie brush and just sort of brushing through, because that's going to make sure that it's coating the brow hairs and not leaving any clumps of wax behind. So you can see right there like how quickly we did that. Now granted, we only did one brow, but that's because I'm running my mouth. But just how much more definition it just puts to that part of my face. So to focus in my eye, because really, you know, this is much like you don't want somebody looking at your boobs, you want them looking at your face. Well, you don't want them looking at your brows, you want them looking you in the eye. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I am happy to help. Again, my name is Julie Dorley, and thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and hope you get to up your brow game. All right, bye.